Hey guys, I'm back. It's Mike, back with another video. This video is the war against white people. Now this video is about my people, the white people. So I'm not here to discuss any other race of people. This is just about white people. But I invite anybody of any race to watch this video and, share in the discussion. But the focus of this video is white people only and their situation. Okay? So it doesn't include any other race. White people right now have an unhealthy culture. Now, this unhealthy culture has been created by the mainstream media and the people who own the mainstream media, whoever they are. And white people, my people, are being misled by the mainstream media. The mainstream media is conducting psychological warfare against white people. Now, white people used to have a healthy culture, say back in the 50s, 1950s, 1960s. But everything started to change in the 60s, I would say. And, this culture was changed slowly over time through the mainstream media and Hollywood. And they were basically putting these subversive ideas into white people's heads in order to change the culture that we had, which was a healthy culture. And they wanted to flip that on its head and create an unhealthy culture, which is the culture that we're living in now. So one of the first subversive ideas that they put into the heads of white people was feminism. Now, feminism, it was placing ideas into white women's heads that they shouldn't be mothers, being a mother's boring, white men, they're abusive, and they're the patriarchy, and marriage is old-fashioned. Basically trying to overthrow our healthy culture and mislead white women. And white women fell for it big time, and they followed this subversive propaganda. And they stopped wanting to do what is healthy for them and white men, which is create families and have children. You have the mother, the father, the children, the grandchildren, the grandparents, the extended family, the cousins, the aunts, the uncles, the nephews, the nieces. That's family, right? But how do you have family if white families, if white men and white women are not getting married and having children and creating families? So the birth control pill was introduced to women, and automatically this chemically changed women. So, the natural progression of things is a man and a woman meet, and eventually they have sex, the woman gets pregnant, and then they get married and create a family. Or they get married first and then, whatever order it comes. But basically, the first time, when they start having sex, the woman's going to get pregnant, and then they create their family, right? Now, that family creation method, which is just the natural way of things, was chemically interfered with by these birth control pills. So white women started taking these pills, which interfered in the natural process, and then they started jumping from man to man to man to man to man, which is not a natural process. They've been chemically altered, okay? So they're not acting in a natural way for a woman because of these chemical pills, these birth control pills. And another thing they introduced was abortion. They put into the idea of women that they should kill their babies. So it's not a beautiful thing for a woman to get pregnant and have a child and become a mother and a wife and create a family. They put this idea into her head that it's freedom to kill your baby. So they just start putting out anti-child propaganda, saying, it sucks to be a parent and kids suck and they're just a lot of work and no fun. So basically just negative propaganda against children. And so, women started murdering their own babies and thinking it was normal. On the opposite end of this for men, a new ideology has been introduced into the minds of men. Oh, I'd say all men. But I'm just talking about my race here. So a new ideology has been introduced into the minds of white men, and that's MGTOW, men going their own way. And they say this is a reaction to feminism, right? So basically, what I'm saying is that feminism and MGTOW are the same thing. They're just subversive ideologies that stop white people from creating families like they used to in the 50s. So white women need to abandon feminism, and white men need to abandon MGTOW, and they need to start creating families like they used to in the 1950s. You need to have the sense to look to the past for guidance, because right now white people are brainwashed and they're lost. I don't know what the fuck they're doing. Now, another thing that's been done is our food supply has been tampered with. They're putting soy in all the food products, and there's in soy there's what is it called? Phytoestrogen. So phytoestrogen mimics human female estrogen. So a lot of the men nowadays, they're being brought up on, when they're born, these baby boys, they're being fed baby formula, and one of the first ingredients in the baby formula is soy oil. So this is like giving estrogen to little boys. So it's feminizing the little boys, so then they grow up as feminine men, and they can't create natural bonds with women, right? Because their minds have been chemically altered with phytoestrogen. Now, another negative thing that was introduced into white culture is pornography. Now, pornography changed the focus of the minds of men and women onto sexual gratification and lust, as opposed to romantic love. See, back in the 50s, there used to be, there were always love songs, right? The main artists, the mainstream singers and stuff, they would all have these love songs, and white men and white women would fall in love and create families and have babies and all that stuff. But then they introduced pornography, and they're trying to dismiss the idea of romantic love, and instead put into the minds of men and women just sex and lust. And so if you just have in your mind sex and lust, you don't really love the person, so you just want more sex, and you want to lust after this person and the next person and the next person. So people just started jumping from partner to partner, from man to man to man, from woman to woman to woman to woman, instead of romantic love, where two people fall in love and they create a family. Then they started, in the media, they started coming up with this anti-white slur called white supremacy. They started calling white men, white supremacists, inferring that white men shouldn't have power in Western countries that they created. So basically, it's sort of like trying to shame white men. It's like white shaming. As if white men aren't supposed to have power in their own territory. I mean, where are white men supposed to have power? You tell me. I'll tell you what. Answer this question for me, please. Please tell me who are the leaders of the white race? Do you know? Because I don't. Do white people have leaders that are looking out for their racial interests? Do white people have racial interests? Are white people allowed to talk about having racial interests? Or just the anti-white racist trying to, because there's a war against white people, that white people aren't even allowed to discuss their own race. And a lot of white people are afraid to talk about their own race. Like just the thought of it terrifies them, and they have a panic attack. Yeah, so a lot of white people are afraid to talk about their own race, and they're afraid to talk about all these things that I'm talking about because they've been white shamed in the media, and they've been given this anti-white slur called white supremacist, this label, this negative branding label that they put on any white person that starts talking about their own race and all these issues. Another thing they do is history shaming. So constantly in the anti-white media, they're constantly bringing up negative things about white people's history and history shaming white people constantly. It's a psychological attack against white people's confidence in themselves. Another idea that has been introduced into the minds of the white population is the term diversity. And a lot of times we hear this word and this mantra repeated over and over again. Diversity is our greatest strength. But diversity is not white culture. That's not our culture. That's a foreign ideology. And what does diversity have to do with white people and creating white families? Nothing. It's a foreign ideology meant to disempower white people. A lot of you may have watched this TV show. It's a very popular show. It's called 90 Day Fiancé. And I like the show myself. It's a show about people traveling all over the world and trying to find a spouse. They're trying to find love in other countries because they can't in their own country because it's so screwed up because they've all been brainwashed to think they need to be perfect to get a partner. So, one thing you notice in 90 Day Fiancé, the vast majority of the couples are racially mixed. So most of the couples are a white person with a person of another race. So you'll see a white person with an Asian person, or a white person with a black person, or a white person with an Arab person, so on and so forth. There's a few white couples on there, but not many. So 90 Day Fiancé, it's sort of it's influencing the general population that the best thing to do is just to find a person of another race and create a mixed race couple. And so it's like taboo. It's very taboo to talk about this, and it's taboo to talk about white men and white women dating each other and creating white families, and even talking about white people and looking out for their own interest and just having a white race. They want to silence and stifle this discussion because there's a war against white people, okay? And they don't want this war to be exposed because it's a sneaky sort of underhanded war. It's not a straightforward war. It's not like everybody's just attacking white people and murdering them. It's a slow, subtle, insidious process of brainwashing, mostly. And they're just influencing white people in directions that are against their best interests. But they make it look like it's a noble thing. But the intent is an anti-white intent. Now, they're always talking about down with the patriarchy, right? So now they're trying to spread this idea that men shouldn't be in power, right? They're trying to topple reality onto its head and say it's wrong for men to be in power. You know, all you men out there, white men, and men of every race really, all you men out there, you need to defend yourself from these anti-male attacks. You know, they're trying to mix up everybody's roles. Their traditional roles. The men's traditional role is to lead the family and lead society and lead politics and all that stuff. Now they're trying to switch it up and trying to disempower men, white men, and replace them with people of other ethnicities and also women. Just anybody, really. Just anybody but white men. So tell me, where are white men supposed to fit in? Can you please answer that question? Tell me exactly where white men should be in power? Could somebody answer that question for me? Because I was thinking it would make a lot of sense for white men to be in power in the countries that they created. I mean, that makes sense. I mean, it doesn't make sense for white men to be in power in Japan. That makes no sense at all. But it does make sense for white men to be in power in their own territory where they're the majority. I mean, doesn't that make sense? So, like I said in 90 Day Fiancé, the majority of the couples are race mix couples, and they're influencing white people to race mix. Now, I don't have a problem with any other race in the world. I like people of all races. So I guess the question is, should we be preserving our races? Should white people preserve ourselves? Is that okay with everyone? I mean, it's obviously not with the people who are engaging in war against white people, but who cares what your enemies think? Should black people preserve themselves? Should Asian people preserve themselves? Yeah, all the races should preserve themselves, and all the other races do preserve themselves. It's just there's this war against white people, so they're trying to brainwash white people and convince us that we shouldn't preserve ourselves and that it's evil to preserve ourselves. And it's just a bogus argument, and they want to live by double standards. Every other race of people is preserving themselves, but they're trying to talk white people out of preserving themselves just by a bunch of bogus arguments, double standard arguments. Now, mass immigration. So in 1965, the immigration policies of all the Western countries, which were white majority countries, were changed, and they want to change the racial demographics of the countries because the main strategy to destroy white people is the Kalergi plan. That's to get white people to marry a partner of another race and just race mix them out of existence. Yeah, like I said, I don't have a problem with people of other races. I like every race on the planet. It's more the behavior that I look at of other people, not their race, on how I judge them. But, every race has their own traditions and cultures, and I think they should all be preserved, including my own race. Now, I would ask people of other races who I like all other people of other races, I would just ask you to please do not participate in this war against my people. If you like me or white people, just please don't participate in this war, because a lot of people, they don't even realize there is a war against my people. They don't understand what the anti-white strategies are, and I'm sort of pointing them all out here. So I would just ask that, just don't participate in this war against white people, please. Okay, now let's take a look at the search results in Google Images. Now, if you bring up Google Images, and here, just do this. Go to Google Images and type in the term black couple, and take a look at the images that pop up. Okay, here's Google Images, and I typed in black couple. And as you can see, all the couples are black men and black women, right? You just keep going. They're all black men and black women, all the pictures. Now, if you do the same thing with Asian couple, here I typed in Asian couple into Google Images, and it's all Asian men and Asian women couples, okay? All the pictures are of Asian men and Asian women. Now, let's do the same thing with the term white couple. Now, here's the term white couple typed into Google Images, and let's see, there are some white couples, but here's a white couple with black children. Here's an interracial couple. Here's an interracial couple. Here's a white couple with black children. Here's a mixed race couple. Here's another mixed race couple. Here's a white woman that painted herself black. Here's a mixed race couple, another mixed race couple, mixed race children, mixed race couple, 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 mixed race children, a black man holding a white woman's hands, another black man holding a white woman's hands, mixed race couple. The white prince married a black girl, mixed race couple, mixed race couple, mixed race couple, mixed race couple. I mean, it's on and on. Black couple. Yeah, it's on and on, right? It's not, if you type in black couple, it's all black men and black women. If you type in Asian couple, it's all Asian men and Asian women. If you type in white couple, it's all mixed race couples. Okay, with some white couples mixed in there. So this goes back exactly to what I said. Every other race is already preserving their own race. But white people are being influenced to racially mix themselves and not preserve their race and not talk about their race and just sit there in fear and afraid to say anything because they're just scared. Because there's a war against them. And hey, not everybody's a warrior, A lot of people are afraid of conflict. So they don't want to do anything that has anything to do with conflict. And this whole war against white people it's a big, massive conflict. And I'm somebody that's not afraid to talk about these things. And I just think it has to be talked about in the right way. As a matter of fact, I think there's controlled opposition out there. These people that pose as white people, and then they start saying hateful things about all these other races. Like they'll say hateful things about blacks or Asians or whatever, and then they sort of spread this idea that if white people are looking out for their own race, they're white. And then you have that smear term, white supremacist, right? And I don't care which race is better. It doesn't matter to me. It's a total. It's beside the point. Who cares which race is better? Doesn't matter to me at all. I don't care who's supreme. And so you also have these gender wars created where they're always they're trying to instigate fights and start trouble and get white men and white women to fight with each other and try to tear each other down. And I think this is a contrived thing because I think it's very easy to influence men and women to get along. I just think they are purposefully trying to create arguments between white men and white women so they don't create families like they were doing when we had a healthy culture. The new culture, this unhealthy, subversive, anti-white culture, is to get white men and white women to fight with each other. So white people are acting like a bunch of lemmings and, hitting themselves over the head with hammers and, jumping off of cliffs and committing suicide. It seems like a lot of white people are racially suicidal and they don't care if they exist into the future. And basically, a lot of white people are lost and they don't know what they're doing because they don't have proper leadership. They're just lost and they're wandering around like lost puppy dogs. Now, why shouldn't white men have power in Western countries? White women don't need power. Because white men give them everything and do everything for them anyways. You see, back when we had a healthy culture, white men would, control the politics. And everything that white men did was for white women anyway. Because they wanted to create their families and take care of their wives and take care of their children. It was a family culture. And they've just poisoned that. And they've introduced this sick, degenerate culture that's not about romantic love, but it's about sex and twerking your ass. Now, white people suffer from a term called pathological altruism. So somebody wrote a book about pathological altruism, and here, I'm going to read the overview of the book. The book comprises a collection of essays which discuss negative aspects of altruism and empathy towards others, such as when altruism hurts the altruist, is taken to an unhealthy extreme, or causes more harm than good. Examples given include depression and burnout seen in healthcare professionals, an unhealthy focus on others to the detriment of one's own needs, hoarding of animals, and ineffective philanthropic and social programs that ultimately worsen the situations they are meant to aid. It is considered the first book to explore negative aspects of altruism and empathy. So, it mentioned here an unhealthy focus on others to the detriment of one's own needs. And that's what white people are doing right now, is even though there's a war being waged against our race, a lot of white people, they're not even aware that there's a war being waged against their race, because they're just being brainwashed to think that what they're doing is altruistic. So, yeah, you see white people, and they're fighting for they're fighting for everybody else's cause, not realizing that there's a war against our people, and a lot of white people are, I guess they would be considered useful idiots, because they're actually sort of helping in the war to destroy themselves, because they just don't understand what's going on. So all this stuff has led to the destruction of the white family. I mean, go on, there's a website, it's a dating website, Plenty of Fish. Go on to Plenty of Fish right now and do a search for 40-year-old single white women. And you'll see how many white women are 40 years old, single, and have never had a kid. They're 40 years old and never had a child. And there's like just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them. And that's just one site. So all these things that I'm saying, this poisonous culture that has been introduced into the West, it's led to the destruction of the white family. Now the question is, will white people have the wisdom to look to their past for guidance in order to plan a healthy future? Hey, white people, start standing up for yourself. Defend yourself.